So moving forward into the next slide, key considerations, how to strengthen things. Cammie's really had a lot of work in this particular area as of late with the Boy Scouts, but one thing I'd like to add before I do pass it on her and she can explain some of these things, folks are going to say, what kind of response rate do we need? We got to get the information, and the premise of understanding our customers is the more of the customers we can get to respond to us, the better off we are. That only goes without saying. So that response rates we'd like to see are definitely up there. Reichheld in this book, because they ask one question, they talk about 60% response rates and 50% response rates. We have not seen that type of response rate. A lot of times we're into the 20 and 30% realm. It just depends upon how that's put together, but we want to get as much input as we can from our customers because it's very helpful. Another point that Reichheld has made in the book is that you've got to be concerned about your non-respondents, folks that are not responding to your one question, because they have found that the makeup of the promoters, passives, and the detractors may not be the same between the non-responders and the responders. So the point with when we're trying to get the input and communicate from people, we want to keep the amount of the non-responders down and get as much information as we can. So Cammie has been really successful in this area of understanding what might be done to improve the response rates. So I will let you dig into your key considerations.
Okay, great. Yeah, what Howard is talking about is a real pickup for a lot of organizations. Survey toxicity, I think, in general for our population and our country, with us as consumers, there's definitely a lot of surveying out there. A lot of it comes through our email channels, of course, some on the phone. So, one of the things when you're looking at your customer group is having in your mind's eye how you're going to be communicating with them. We communicate through email because we code the survey link in a way that we can capture geographic information and other types of demographics to help us, deliver information back to our clients. But if you don't have if you don't have some kind of a web or IT team that can't do it, you can always use something like Zoomerang, SurveyMonkey. There's all sorts of online surveys that you can use to get this going. But when developing those surveys, keep the invitation as personalized and as brief as possible. The more words someone sees when they open up the email, the more likely they are to bounce. And the invitation itself is even in the subject line, try to, if you have the technology to get that to where it can be customized according to any information that you might have in your database. So, but I know that, a lot of operations are pretty low tech. So, but personalizing even what you're, intending to do with the program or how important the program is to you, and how you're maybe going to be instituting and benchmarking against it for the long term will help people, understand that, their information here can make a difference for, the services they get from you. But, again, be as concise as you can be with that message. With the program is only as strong as your ability to receive the information, and I cannot stress that enough. Do not start this program if you aren't able to do something with the information that comes to you, because one of the things that customers and that people in general will get even more mad with is being ignored or having to repeat themselves multiple times with the same issue. So be ready to receive the information, and where it comes from, understand that you need to be able to push the information. You might receive it, you might be in the management, you might be at a headquarters, but get that information to your front line. Get that information to those people that are interacting with your public. Of course, it's an anonymous thing. You don't want names associated with it, but you do want your front line to understand key issues, key areas of excellence, so they keep doing what they're doing right, and easy ways that they can start changing the things that aren't going so good. So just because your surveys might show that you have a 90-foot hole deep that you have to fill with, because of a bad experience, don't think that you have to come up with a 90 feet of fill, immediately. Start to incrementally figure out how you improve those experiences and make sure that information gets to the front line. I can't say that enough. Make sure the information gets to the people that are impacting the public, because that's the full circle. So another part of the full circle is reinforcing what you're learning back to the audience groups. So say you do this for a year, you see some themes, you get together and you provide a comprehensive, systematic solution to what's going on, and you elevate your level of service accordingly. That's good news, and that's worthy of distribution. So making sure that maybe it's in the next survey copy, maybe it's a update. We're listening to you, we're hearing you, we're acting, and this is how we're doing it. Some of our clients go ahead and take a letter and send it out to their database once a year, thanking them for participating in their program, in this feedback program, and reinforcing what was heard, what's being done about it, and what they can expect as customers to see is different. So that loop is really important. It's a 360 thing, and once you start doing that, you start to increase people's confidence that their voice is getting listened to. So you start to reinforce what you really want in that higher response rates, solid data, so you can make better operational decisions and better programmatic decisions moving forward. Let's move it on. Oh, go ahead, Howard. Sorry. Yeah.
I just a quick point on number 2. Everybody has heard about Apple, and infatuation with Apple. Apple started in the NPS program just a couple of years back, and just to help clarify what might happen with 2, they don't do their program anonymously, but what they have found that store managers, and I forget, they have about 300 stores now, their store managers call within 24 hours every detractor. And they now know that each one of those calls is worth $1,000 in repeat business. And at the end of the first year of their program, they increased revenue by $25 million because they pushed the information down to the managers, and managers picked up the phone and were able to change or reconnect with that detractor. So that just gives an important focus on how really critical it is for this information to be acted on soon, and to close the loop and bring the customers back around.
Wow,
pretty big dollar sound. Yeah, $1,000 bucks, $25 million. I'd sure like to. That's a big thing.
That's a new stat I hadn't heard. Great. Wow. So that's super. And here's another way to start, integrating the information. So give the customer a seat at every table. Make the feedback that you receive part of every staffing meeting. One of our associates is the CEO of Campgrounds of America, and at every single meeting that the individual camps have, they go over this data. Review the trends with your management team. Start to think about what you can do to share best practices and share integrated solutions that can be executed at the front line. And if things need more resources, this is where it's identified. And then you can go ahead and report on the metrics and on resource needs to fix some of the issues to your committees and your boards and your councils, and start to get those fundraising and resource allocations. Having a mindset with data in order to do that is incredibly strong in this area, I know, with the nonprofits and municipalities. So it's an amazing tool that can be leveraged in such a great way to help really start to think about resource allocations. We know that sheriff's departments and fire houses with cities, they always do really well, and beyond the wonderful services they provide, those guys know how to do metrics. And so metrics are important, and this is one of those tools. So, and the Net Promoter Score testimonials are incredibly powerful. It's that word-of-mouth marketing. It's more powerful than the traditional advertising. And using those for fundraising efforts or to validate the continuation of programs and services, it's a gold river. Promoters give you such great material, and its marketing value is incredibly powerful. So give the customer a seat at every table. I had to put the slide in there. Howard's jealous of Chuck Norris's hair, but I think it's really important. It's a really important point. There's resistance sometimes to this program. One of our clients is an organization that's decades old, and it's an extremely hierarchical-based organization. And a lot of companies and organizations out there have departmental silos, and everyone has their own budget. And, so when information starts coming in that goes counter to existing processes, existing sort of nodes of perceived strengths and everything, you start to really realize if their strength is really a strength or if it's just a veneer. And when you start getting that kind of information, it is powerful, and it does sometimes get met with resistance. Even if some part of your organization is doing exceptional, and that's proven with the NPS metrics, you can even get some jealousy within your own organization to where the metrics and the numbers start to come into question. That's all smoke screen types of, they're important, but what's more important than that is that you're capturing the voice of the customer. You're capturing the experiences. If you add an open-end field on your surveys, you're getting verbatim comments. So any time that you engage with basically, your reason for being, that kind of information should be taken in high regard. So as you move forward and as the data that you collect starts to get deeper and it starts to get more foundational, and in that foundational, I mean that it can't be shaked, it can't be cracked easily. It might take a while. You probably will meet resistance, but hang in there, steadfast, because the information you're collecting in the long haul should do your organization just terms or just bounds of service as far as justifying your sustainability. So yeah, so that's old Chuck. The resistance is futile. Yeah. All right. So here's some summary actions. So assess the importance of the group of people who are vital to your organization's long-term survival. So the volunteers, the donors, the employees. Determine who you need to reach out to, who's critical, and make sure those relationships stay strong through long-term measurement. And of course, we're recommending the NPS approach. Tailor your approach to each group according to their value expectation of being part of your organization. So like Howard was saying, put yourself in their shoes and make sure that you're meeting their expectations with the development of how you word those questions and such. Determine the best way for you to reach out to your audiences, keeping in mind your data collection needs. So, maybe you do have a database. Maybe your database has information that can help identify input according to, precinct or, branch or, just maybe town, depending on how big your organization is. Being able to tag that information onto the survey. Maybe you ask the person in the survey to help you do that. I'm not sure. But determine how your data collection is going to help you action it, because at the end you want to make sure it's actionable. Make sure the voice of the customer is part of your rhythm of business at all points. To that last slide, a couple slides ago, make it part of your meetings, your presentations at every point that you can. And reinforce what you're learning internally with the people that provide your services and externally with those who are receiving your services. Reinforce what you're learning, let them know how you're taking action, and really start to embrace those relationships that justify your reason for being. Howard, do you have any other thoughts on summary actions here?
2 points. One, on the first one, assess the importance of the groups of people who are vital to your organization, long-term survival. the old Pareto principle comes in, the 80-20. So there's 20% of those customers that are really vital to your organization. So specifically look at that customer group and then unpack the promoters, the passively satisfied and detractors, so you can better understand how to interact with them. It gives you a really different lens to make sure that you can deal with them and interact with them on an appropriate basis. And a point that's really not here, but I just happen to think about it, is the fact that the Net Promoter Program is becoming so ubiquitous out there. I've read in Reicheld's book, the new book, there's 2 of the large CPA organizations are determining ways so they can audit NPS numbers, because so many corporations are starting to present those things, so they don't want cooked books. So that's how important it's becoming in the quote for-profit world, and I can only see that happening with nonprofits, because so many nonprofits have their books audited as well. So to have a really solid program will be important. So lay the foundation well, as Camille laid out in the previous slide. So those are my 2 points, and we could go on. I just get excited about this thing.